Hello and welcome back for another episode of Financial Freedom by 40. In this week's episode, we are continuing to travel north along the Western Australian coast. We get to visit some absolutely stunning sites, including the beautiful Rottnest Island that you can see in the video here. We also visit the towns of Mandurah, Rockingham, Fremantle, and also the big city of Perth. Our first stop this week is at the Lake Clifton Thrombolites. Now, you might never have heard of thrombolites. We hadn't either until we came to this area, but thrombolites are kind of like a rock formation that has been around for a really long time. These particular thrombolites are said to be around 2,000 years old and are now only found in a few places around the world, including in Western Australia. These living rocks are made up of small microbes, and apparently these kinds of structures is what was the start of life on Earth because they can produce oxygen. Things like this provide such great learning opportunities both for us and for the boys as we travel our way around Australia. Quite conveniently, the thrombolites were just around the corner from another site we wanted to see, which was the start of the Giants of Mandurah exhibition.
So we're on the search for the Mandurah giants, and we've just noticed as we're walking along this path here, there are a lot of giant spider webs and giant spiders. Let me see if I can zoom in. Hanging right above our heads. Look at that lovely little fella. The sun's getting in the way. Yuck. Look, some more down here. Yeah, so, oh, that's a big one. Oh, there's two in that one. Yuck. Oh, there's heaps of them. So yeah, all the way along this path, there's these giant spider webs hanging down. And let's hope we don't find any that we have to walk through, because I don't fancy coming face to face with those guys too much. Look, there's another one. Yuck. Ugh. It's like something from a horror movie. Look. Oh. 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 And it's getting lower. Oh. Oh.
Did I mention that I have arachnophobia?
Look at this bit. It really is. It's horror film stuff. Ah. Ah. Oh my goodness. Ah.
Oh, it is a low one.
Ah. Oh. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's horrible. We're on the search for the Giants of Mandurah, and we think maybe we might have found one. So let's have a look around this corner and see if we can spot one. Or is it just another clue? What is it? Oh, must be around here somewhere. Do you think that's a clue?
No, this is suggesting the old one.
So the Giants of Mandurah is a large-scale outdoor art exhibition, and the artist has created these big wooden giants, and so they're hidden in locations in and around the town of Mandurah. And so we just happened upon one of the signs. We knew the giant exhibition was on, but we came to see the thrombolites, and oh, I think we found one. We saw the sign for the giants, so we thought we'd better follow this one since it's on our way, and we will go and try and find some other ones after this. Let's have a look. That's so cool. Number 98. How many giants are there? Wow. How amazing is that? It's beautiful.
Right.
Hugging the tree.
How are we going to do it? Go find a seat on it.
All of these.
After a quick stop at the Mandurah Visitors Information Centre to get ourselves a Giant's Trail booklet, we were off in search of the next giant. It's well worth getting the booklet as it gives you a bit more information about where to find the giants.
Well, I suspect because it's kind of like part of it is environmental consciousness. They've probably done a big tree planting as part of the project. They must have them floodlit at night though, because they've got the light and stuff. Or is it on a security camera? Yeah. It's pretty cool. This one's in a cool spot.
They must have security so no one damages it. They have 3 different police things.
Let's have a look.
Police urgent, police not urgent, crime stoppers.
This one looks like he's raising his hands up to the sun. Maybe he's, do you reckon the sun sets out that way? I reckon this would be a good spot to be for the sunset.
Well, judging on the sun, it must sit roughly straight
That way?
Maybe he's the person in front of the sun.
Well, he's got a good spot, this guy.
He has a big beard.
Let's go have a look at his face.
Apparently there's a symbol on this thing locked,
Yeah, it's on the side.
that'll lock into the secret one.
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, I love the beard.
Yeah,
Looks so good.
And look, he's got the best view so far. Looks right out over the sea.
The next giant was also located right by the sea, and it was pretty windy where he was. It was also quite hard to access him as he was located right on the rock wall. This didn't stop the boys from clambering around the sides of him to get a closer look. We would have liked to have popped the drone up to get a closer look at his face, but it was just way too windy and we didn't want to have it blow away. With the wind blowing and the day getting on, it was back in the car and off in search of the next giant, which was also right along the coast.
Oh, so you've been making the rock design, you reckon?
Circle style.
Ah. Oh, makes sense now.
good giant.
Nice one.
Here he is. Very cool. So, we're on the trail of the giant still. This is the last giant in this area, and the map says the very last giant is in Perth, so we'll have to find the 6th of the giants when we are in Perth. So the last one in the Mandurah area is apparently just around the corner here, and this one's been a little bit of a walk from where we could park with the caravan, and feeling a little over it now, to be honest, even though the giants are really cool, because the kids are fighting like cats and dogs in the back of the car. So even if it looks kind of glamorous on the video, the travel YouTube life, a lot of it is not that glamorous. And I tried to video them, but they wouldn't let me, having their giant war with each other in the back of the car. Thankfully getting the video out seems to stop it, because I don't want their friends and family to see them having war on YouTube. But anyway, just sharing, it's not always beautiful and happy family moments. There's a fair few bits of warring and fighting along the way as well. Alright, so now we've actually found the very last of the giants, and this one looks like it's pretty cool. I think it's been made out of an old fallen over tree stump. Let's go around the corner and have a look.
One. Nice one.
Little Louis sitting on a throne.
This is the best one yet, I reckon.
Wow,
It's on a
he's so detailed.
throne is an uprooted tree.
Yeah, and it's here as some of the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Nice.
Little Louis is the best one yet.
Yeah, he's very cool.
By the time we found this giant, the sun was starting to set and it was time for us to go and find camp. The next morning we were off to Rockingham, where we jumped in the water at Point Perrin. There were loads and loads of different fish in the water here, and it was super clear, so we had a great time snorkeling.
So we're snorkeling just off Point Perrin. We're in the water, and there's a pot of dolphins swimming straight past us.
Wow. Look at all the fish. Over
there.
Where are they?
Like, about...
How's all the fish? Schools.
Have a look. I've been looking at the dolphins.
Hey, brother.
Another site that is just off Rockingham Beach is Seal Island. As the name suggests, we'd heard that there was a colony of seals out here and that it was possible to paddleboard out to the island to have a look at them. It's been pretty windy while we've been travelling up this coast, so we weren't sure if we'd be able to get out to the island, but we got up bright and early and there was very little wind, so we decided that we would give it a crack.
Give it up on the paddling there, Ollie. Taking a break. Pretty nice day for it. Yeah. I was reading in the brochure last night and it said they call it Seal Island, but they're actually Australian sea lions, not seals. So
Look at all the sea lions.
they're all just lazing on the beach. So you can't go past the buoys. See, there's a yellow buoy there. You're not allowed to go past that. You've got to stay on the outside of that, on the ocean side. So it says no access.
There are kayak moorings out around the island, and we had hoped to be able to tie up the paddleboards and have a bit of a kayak out there. But unfortunately, the wind was getting up, and we thought we should make our way back to the beach as soon as possible. The boys did jump in for a little bit of a snorkel at the island, and then we very quickly paddled our way back to the shore, where we did a little bit more snorkeling back at Rockingham Beach. As we continued to move up the coast, it was time to check into Fremantle, where we decided to catch the ferry out to Rottnest Island. We were told that the trip to Rottnest Island was a must-do, and we absolutely agree. We allowed one day for this trip, and one day was definitely not enough. We will have to come back here and visit Rottnest Island again. We could easily have spent several days out there going around and checking out the different beaches and snorkeling spots and interacting with the cute little quokkas, one of which you can see here just beside the crow. The island is named Rottnest Island because when the Dutch explorers came past here in the 1600s, they spotted the quokkas on the island and thought that they were giant rats and that the island was completely infested with them. The quirky little quokkas are actually a relative of the kangaroo, and if you watch them closely you can see they use their tail and paws to jump around a little bit like a kangaroo does. They're super friendly, super cute, and there are loads of them all over the island. Shortly after stepping off the ferry, we jumped onto the island's hop-on, hop-off bus. You can get around the island in a couple of different ways. One of the popular ways to get around is by bicycle and also by bus. There are no private cars on the island, so you can't take a car on here or hire a car on the island. You can walk, bike ride or bus, and we chose the bus option, and I'm really glad we did. We wouldn't have been able to see as much of the island as we did if we had have taken the bike option, and in fact I think we probably wouldn't have got much further than the first couple of beaches. The bus stops at a lot of the key sites around the island, and buses go past about every 15 minutes, which means you can hop off and see the sites you want to see and then get back on and off to the next site quickly. We decided to do one full loop of the island on the bus before we were going to jump off, just so that we had an opportunity to see all the sights and pick the beach that we thought would be our favourite one for our first snorkeling expedition. One stop where we did get off though on our first loop was at Cape Vlaming, which you can see here in this video. There was this beautiful little beach here, or this little bay here, that seemed to be only accessible by boats, so we popped the drone up in the air to have a bit of a closer look. One of the really cool things about having the drone is that it can get into places and see things that we just can't always see from the land. So it's pretty cool to be able to put it up into the sky and have a good look around from a bird's eye view. The wildlife up this end was pretty amazing as well. We could see a pod of dolphins out off the coast who seemed to be out there having a bit of a fishing expedition. So we flew out to have a little bit of a closer look, but of course we didn't want to go too close and disturb what they were up to. If you look really closely at the bottom of the screen now, you can see there's a few other dolphins just swimming across the reef there in the foreground. We've been so lucky to see dolphins at so many different locations, and in this location we were able to see some of the sea lions out in the water as well. If you have a look to the rock formation at the right hand side as the drone flies over, you should be able to spot a couple of seals or sea lions out in the ocean there. And there were another group of them just close to the cliffs where we were standing on the platform to the top right of the screen. These guys seemed to be pretty relaxed and just taking in the sunshine, completely oblivious to all of us tourists at the top of the cliff watching what they were up to. After this, we jumped back on the bus and went around to Henrietta Rocks, where there is a shipwreck that you can snorkel on. The shipwreck is the wreck of the Shark, which was a barge that broke free from its mooring in Fremantle and drifted across the bay and ended up here on the reef. It's been pretty cool getting to snorkel a few wrecks in this area, and the boys think it is a whole lot of fun. At Henrietta Rocks, we jumped back on the bus and went around to Little Salmon Bay, where there is a snorkelling trail. The snorkelling trail is actually a little bit overgrown in barnacles, so it was quite hard to read, though the boys and Ryan did have a good go at scrubbing it off so they could read some of the signs. But despite the signs being a little hard to read, it was still good to follow the trail around so that we could see all of the different types of corals and different little ecosystems that they have around this bay. We couldn't spend too long here because we'd spent so long at the last stop that we had to be pretty quick to be able to get back on one of the last buses and make our way back around towards the ferry terminal. After jumping off the bus, we still had a little bit of time up our sleeves, so we went for a bit of a wander around and got to check out a few more of the little cute quokkas. The quokka are more active in the early morning and late afternoon, so by the time we had finished all of our snorkeling and were waiting for our 6 p.m. ferry, there were quite a lot more of them around and they were busy eating, and so we were able to get up nice and close to them, and the boys got to have some photos with some quokkas. Altogether, this was a fabulous day out, and we can highly recommend a visit to Rottnest Island if you are visiting Fremantle or Perth. Another site we wanted to see while we were in Fremantle was the Fremantle Prison. The Fremantle Prison is a really fascinating place to visit, and there are a range of different tour options that you can do. Some of the tours aren't actually suitable for children under the age of 12, so make sure you're just careful with which one you pick when you're booking. And also even this one that we went on, which was the Behind Bars tour, some of the content that's covered is fairly intense, and one of the things they do is to take you into the old gallows room, so a bit of parental guidance can be required around that. The part of the video that you're seeing now is showing some of the old cell rooms. Now this prison was operational from the mid 1850s until around about 1991, so pretty extraordinary. These rooms were still being used up till 1991, and these different setups just show you what some of the rooms were like over the different periods of time that the prison was operational for. The painted rooms are rooms that were painted by the prisoners, and a lot of this artwork was done in the latter stages of the prison's life, as they knew that it was going to be closing shortly, so they just let the artistic prisoners go crazy and paint the rooms as much as they liked. So pretty cool to see some of that, and definitely an experience that is worthwhile doing while you're visiting Fremantle. Another really cool place to visit while you're in Fremantle is the Shipwrecks Museum. Now this wasn't one that we were really that excited about going to see. We just had a little bit of time available, so we thought we would pop in and have a look while we were in the area. And it was one of the favourite things that we did actually in the Fremantle area. What was really cool about this was that they had some collections from shipwrecks that happened just in this coast, and one of the really fabulous things that they had here was a piece of the shipwreck of the Batavia. While there were lots of interesting shipwreck stories, the story of the Batavia really stood out, as it was one of mutiny and murder, and just it was really altogether a pretty fascinating tale. And what was also fascinating was they had information there about the finding of the wreck and the salvage of the wreck from the Rottnest Islands that are quite far out off the coast of Western Australia. So really quite an extraordinary story about how they not just found the wreck, but also salvaged it and then brought it to be here in this museum. So this section you can see in the video now is a section of the stern, so the rear section of the actual ship, and these parts of the ship were salvaged from the bottom of the ocean and brought to shore and treated, and they have been put on a frame and put together in the same sort of shape as they would have been when the shipwreck was in its entirety. So really worthwhile to go and have a look at this. You can see the types of construction that they used way back in the 1600s when this ship was wrecked, and as well as this they have some fascinating artifacts and cargo from the ship, including a portico made of sandstone that was travelling from Europe over to Singapore apparently, and weighed over 37 tons. So pretty amazing that the ship was carrying something so heavy, as well as a bunch of other cargo and building materials as well that were apparently in the hold. And also you can see at the museum the skeleton, believe it or not, of one of the people who was murdered during the mutiny that took place. So really fascinating place to visit. It was free when we visited as well, so a great little bonus visit for us in Fremantle. Also on the theme of shipwrecks, not too far up the road from the Shipwrecks Museum is the wreck of the Omeo. And this wreck is just a few metres off the shore, probably about 20 or 30 metres out off the beach, and you can take a snorkel out from there and have a look around the wreck. The day we were there it was a little bit choppy, a little bit windy, and the water was a bit murky, but I've seen some really amazing footage that people have taken. But as you can see here, even though it was a little bit murky, we could still see the wreck really clearly underneath the water, and there was quite a lot of fish life there as well. There's also a snorkelling trail in the water here, just around or not too far away from the wreck, but we did actually struggle to find the pieces of the snorkelling trail and didn't really seem all that exciting to us, but the wreck was really quite cool. So, well, again, another thing that's worthwhile visiting if you are in the Fremantle area. Entirely free, you just walk down the beach and you can see the wreck there in the water. And then because we are, of course, maritime lovers in this family, we made our way just around the corner again to the Maritime Museum. This was also free while we were visiting. It's not always free, but they have some museums that are currently offering freebies for the summer. So we could pop in and see this one. We got to see the old America's Cup boat. The Australians won the America's Cup back in the 80s, as well as a lot of other boating and shipping displays. One of the other cool things they had there was a big megamouth shark that was in a display tank, so that was pretty cool. But unfortunately, because of the way that he is preserved, he was pretty hard to capture on video, so have to just show you some cool boats instead. After Fremantle, we spent a couple of days checking out some sites around Perth. We've never actually visited Perth before, so it was a great opportunity to catch up with some family there and also to see some of the touristy things as well. One of the places that we visited was the Perth Mint, so it was kind of interesting to go here as well, as we had already been to the Canberra Mint when we were in Canberra, and this one kind of completes a bit of the story. Saw some cool things, including this 1 ton gold coin, so a solid gold coin at the Mint, and what you can see that it's sitting on there is actually a giant safe, so it closes up and puts the coin away in a big vault if somebody tries to steal it. They had some amazing gold displays there. I'd love to know the value of this all added together. A lot of these are actually gold nuggets that have been found in Western Australia and are now on display here at the Mint. They've decided not to melt them all down because they were realizing that they were actually losing a lot of the history, I suppose, by melting down all of the gold and turning it into gold bars. So some of them are on display for the public to see. One of the other things we got to see too was one of the solid gold bars. You can see here the boys are trying to pick it up. They're actually really heavy, so it was quite hard to pick it up off this little platform. As well as that, we got to see a live gold pour, which was another really cool thing to do at the Mint. One of our final stops before leaving Perth was the Nostalgia Box, which I guess you could describe as a retro gaming museum. One of the cool things about this is it's not just a museum. You can actually play the games from your childhoods.
Wow, there's
So
someone
good.
even before our time. Funny. These are really old ones.
Yeah. What a great idea.
Very cool.
Yeah, they must have had a big job trying to collect all the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it's already gone to Minecraft.
Why would you go for Minecraft? Like when you... I suppose that like other games are too old for
It's
them.
the original Minecraft.
They don't know what they don't know about.
No, this is true. I want to go find Sonic or Super Mario Brothers.
You're gonna play as well, aren't you?
1978 release. The basketball.
I'll see you again.
Oh.
We're not quite in our area
No,
yet.
some of these are getting a bit... I mean, these things, I'm pretty sure
Oh, yeah.
people had those.
Yeah, 1980 to 1991.
These ones, like the Snoopy
Yes.
tennis, I remember
I
seeing
remember
those. We didn't have one, but I remember seeing those.
Although for the boys it was much more interesting to play the games. Ryan and I thought it was pretty funny going back through all of these old game boxes, Game Boys, things that we remember seeing in the 90s and early 2000s, and a couple of which we had played on ourselves back in the day. They also had some old television sets, which we can remember those as well, so makes you feel a little bit old, and I think it made the kids think we were super duper old. There's an old PlayStation there, one that we actually had ourselves, which was why I had a bit of a closer look at that from back in the probably, well, I don't know, late 90s. So it was kind of, yeah, a bit of nostalgia for us and a bit of fun for the boys. They've been missing their computer games, so we did spend quite a lot of time here. Your ticket to this, I think it was about $50 for a family pass there, and you can spend the whole day there if you like playing games, and they actually will change the games out for you too. So they had Donkey Kong, they had Super Mario Brothers, they had Pacman, all of the old games that you probably remember growing up with. And if you've got one that they don't have on a game, you can ask them and they will put it in one of the machines for you. So recommend this as well if you're into your gaming, or your kids are into their gaming and you are in Perth.
So what are you playing?
Modern warfare. Modern warfare. We have to kill each other.
Who's winning?
Me. I'm bottom.
Having fun?
Yeah.
How cool are these games?
I'm in a really like
What are you playing, Mum?
Pacman.
Pac-Man.
Good old
Oh,
Pacman.
how we going, old Pac-Man? Oh, don't get eaten. Oh, run away. Oh, you're being videoed. I'm a retro gamer for sure. Look at you go. Oi. Ah, still no good.
And just around the corner from Nostalgia Box was our final stop for Perth, which was the last of the Mandurah Giants. There he is. You can go sit with the giant. Have your photo taken? You don't want to? Alright. Well, there he is.
symbol is a water drop.
Well, we don't need a symbol now because we've found the 6th one.
Ready?
Before we knew it, we were back on the road and leaving the big city behind. This is the last large city that we are going to see for quite some time. I think it'll be Darwin again before we see any larger cities. So we stocked up on things that we needed and started to make our way north. And we've got some pretty amazing things that we're going to be seeing in our next few episodes. One of them is this amazing pink lagoon, the Hut Lagoon, which is on our way north. So make sure that you tune in for the next episode where we will be visiting the lagoon and some other really amazing sites north of Perth. Thanks so much for listening this week, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you get all of our latest episodes, and you can also find us on social media at Financial Freedom by 40.